Welcome to FBB Forum. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. I am very pleased to welcome the beautiful IFBB Women's Physique Pro, Bree Marshall. Bree has been competing since 2018 and earned her pro card by winning her division in figure at the 2020 Junior USAs. And she's going to make her pro debut soon. Welcome, Bree. It's great to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Yeah, pleased to have you here. So I was curious, when you first started bodybuilding, did you have an athletic or sports background before you started?
Yeah, so I actually played soccer from age 3 up until my freshman year of college. And by my freshman year of college, I've already had accumulated 4 concussions by then. And that fourth one kind of is the one that took me out of soccer. So I couldn't play any longer. It was too risky to play. So therefore, I worked my whole life for, to grow within soccer and be a professional in that sport. And that got taken away from me. So that caused me to obviously have some depression issues and gain a whole bunch of weight along with that. So then I decided I needed to do something. So luckily I knew a coach. His name was Steve Blackman. He was local at the time, and he helped me through my first and second bodybuilding show. So
Wow.
started.
My daughter actually plays soccer, and I worry about that with concussions and getting injured and stuff. It just, yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, it was rough. It was rough, but we got through it, obviously. So
Sure. Yeah. Now yeah, bodybuilding's not really a contact sport, so it's probably a little safer
yeah,
maybe.
yeah, just a little.
So in terms of, was it Steve that kind of convinced you to do your first contest?
No, it was kind of just me personally wanting to do it.
Sure.
All throughout high school, I really loved the muscular look, and the more I would follow it, the more I was always wishing, like, okay, I wish I could, do this. But, with me personally, I go all in on everything that I do. So with soccer, I was all in on it. So I didn't have extra time to pursue anything else.
Okay.
But it was kind of a blessing in disguise, so I couldn't play soccer anymore. So then I was able to then try out something that I had my eyes on,
Sure.
and then fell in love with it. So it all worked out.
Did you have a role model in the sport when you first started or first were thinking about it?
No, not really. I just kind of dove right into it.
That's terrific. Very cool. How old were you when you first started training for bodybuilding?
18. No,
Oh, wow.
yeah, 18.
Wow, that's young. That's really cool, though.
Yeah.
I was curious, when you first started competing in bodybuilding, were you nervous getting on stage, and do you still kind of feel nervous these days?
Yeah, so when I first started, the first time getting on stage, I was terrified, honestly, because like I've never been on in a sport that deals with um performance as far as putting on a show for somebody,
Yeah,
and being on stage. So, I mean, I had done a couple of dance classes when I was very little, but that doesn't really count,
yeah.
at that point. But yeah, so I was very nervous, but as soon as I stepped on stage, like it all went away, and that's when I knew. I was like, okay, this is for me. If I can flip a switch like that and I enjoy being up here, then absolutely this is for me. So ever since that first show, that's when it was more so locked in on this is what I want to do. So now these days I do kind of get a little nervous. I feel like that's pretty healthy to be nervous, because I mean that means you care.
Yeah.
um but I'm more so confident now on just stepping on the stage rather than I when I first started. So
Sure. And you took a few years break too. So it might be more nervous because you haven't been on stage in a few years now.
yeah, that's for sure. That's something I was actually thinking about the other day. So that's why I'm also posing a lot. I'm posing every day for at least 1 to 2 hours a day. So I'm hoping that will reflect on stage come later this year.
Okay, that's terrific. Very cool. Yeah, best wishes to you for later this year. Um, I was curious, what would you say is the toughest aspect of competition prep for you?
Honestly, nothing really sticks out to me as far as one thing being harder than the other. I just kind of tackle every day the same way I always do, as 100%. Um, and it's just, I just look at it as like a to-do list, and I just, check off all the boxes that I get done. So, I mean, I don't really find anything too difficult. It's just all about the execution.
Great. Yeah. Isn't it tough though, when you're leaning down and you're like starving and stuff?
Yeah, yeah, it can be, but I guess like I'm so used to it, and I'm just like a hungry person by nature anyways, so I'm used to
Yeah.
being hungry, so by then it's just kind of like, all right, well, we've got this X amount of time before the show, so this feels about right. So yeah, we're in a good spot.
That's great. Very cool. Um, I was curious, do you have a tough time dealing with that transition between competition shape and off-season shape? Because I personally, as a fan, I like all the phases that female bodybuilders go through, but I know it's tough mentally for the women to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it has gotten a little easier each time coming out of a prep, but I haven't really been competing very long compared to a lot of people in the sport.
Yeah,
So I haven't had as much practice with it. So I know in the years to come, it will get a lot easier. But like this past off season going into it, it was fine. I just had some issues with, my relationship with food at that one. There was, a whole, like I had a couple episodes of like binging after the show and stuff, which tends
mm,
to happen a lot of times. But
mm,
um, I felt like during the off season at my peak at being 205 pounds, I did have a hard time seeing myself that way. But what I did to deal with it, I just kind of covered up and just kept my head down and just kept working through
sure.
it, because I kept reminding myself this is only a temporary phase. It's necessary. Um, you have to be uncomfortable if you want to bring those changes that you want to the stage. And to go up to women's physique, I needed to put on a lot of muscle tissue
Yeah,
to be competitive in the division. So, um, I mean, that's what we did. So it was a long year and a half, but it will be worth it. So
that's terrific. You're 205 and at what height? 'Cause I know you're pretty tall.
yeah, my top weight was 205, and I'm 5'6.5".
Okay, very cool. Yeah, yeah, you look really tall on stage, and
Yeah.
yeah, no, and that's true. I think that's important for women's physique to get more size to compete, to be competitive. And
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Absolutely.
it's exciting to see you do physique this year. I think you're gonna do really well. So yeah, that'll be great.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I feel like women's physique is where my heart truly belongs. Now, I started in figure. I absolutely love that division. I think it's beautiful. But for me personally, I love all of the posing that is involved with women's physique.
Yeah,
Uh, I love to be able to, express myself and showcase my physique the way I want to, rather than having to stick to the same four poses over and over and over. So, yeah, I'm very excited to display it.
yeah. I personally like physique better because I think your creativity shows, with the posing routine, and it is switch. You can switch it up, and it's just, yeah, figure just gets a little bit too stilted in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was curious, what advice can you give to rising pros who are kind of struggling with competition prep, like how to deal with all the stresses of that?
Like as far as the stresses of dealing with like the extreme hunger and stuff like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Um, I mean, honestly, I'm very blunt and straightforward of a person. In my opinion, if you're unable to handle those sort of things, then maybe you're not really cut out for the sport.
Yeah.
Um, because at the end of the day, you have to be a little crazy to be successful.
Uh-huh.
So, in order to bring the level of conditioning you need to have to bring to the stage, it's you're gonna have to fight through that hunger. And yeah, it may suck, but you just kind of have to deal with it.
Mhm.
So I mean, the only advice I can give is either deal with it or just don't do it at all, you know?
Sure. Yeah. I personally, I think I would have a tough time with it because I like food and beer and just, I don't
Yeah, so I mean, it's all about priorities too. So I mean, like, if that's one of your priorities, then that's great. You do your own thing, and you can still live a somewhat bodybuilding lifestyle on the side as well,
Mhm.
with eating the meals every day, meal prep, and your training and everything.
Mhm.
But for somebody that doesn't like hold very much priority for, and they were struggling with the prep itself, then they might want to kind of just take a step back and evaluate if it's something they truly want to do.
Sure. Yeah, that's good advice. Yeah, thank you. How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, I'm 23.
Yeah, you're just kind of wise for 23. I think you're pretty smart. So I think that's great.
Thank you.
Um, I was curious in terms of coaching, do you have a prep coach now or a posing coach?
I do have a prep coach. His name is Cornelius Parkin. He is with Decon Training. Uh,
Okay.
he lives about 15 minutes away from me, so he's up in the North Carolina area as well.
Oh, very cool. That's great. Do you get to meet him in person or do you mostly do like Skype and stuff?
No, so we do meet in person, and we do train together quite often. So
That's great.
yeah.
And no posing coach?
No posing coach. I do my own posing because I'm a posing coach as well. Uh,
Mm,
so I've always taught myself posing. Um, Besides the time that I needed help with wellness posing for Junior USA, since I crossed over 3 times.
yeah.
Um, so
Uh,
I needed help with the wellness posing. But other than that, I literally stayed in my room and watched YouTube videos of like so many different people posing in all the divisions that I just
mm,
kind of taught myself, and I know how to critique myself and change different things. So yeah, I don't really have a posing coach, and if I need any posing advice, I'll like have like a friend or something like look at it like, okay, what can I do to make this better? But I'm very hard on myself, so I think that's also what makes me good at what I do.
mm.
Um, being able to change my own posing. So
That's terrific. Yeah, I thought you really looked graceful on stage in the junior USA's. So that was really cool. And
thank
that
you.
was close to home for you too. That was probably made life a little easier because it was still in the Carolinas there.
Oh yeah, because at the time I was living in Columbia, so it was just a short little hour and a half drive down to Charleston. So
Not,
my family and I are used to making those day trips down there, so it was an easy drive.
that's great. I don't like that 26 gets all backed up though. That road's tough.
Yeah, yeah, it does get tough.
um, let's see. I was wondering what advice could you give to up and coming bodybuilders that are looking for a coach?
To reach out to one, but do your research. So that means like looking into their what their past competitors look like,
Mhm.
uh what they're promoting on their pages, whether that's their Instagram page, their website, etc., whatever kind of marketing they use, um, and kind of ask around their athletes too. Getting the information directly from the source of the athlete itself. Then that's the main thing that you want to hear, because you can
Mhm.
kind of see like how their relationship is with the coach, how they feel their coach is working for them, etc. So then that can kind of help someone gauge whether they think that coach might be a good fit for them.
Mhm. That's good, really good advice. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. How long had you worked with Cornelius?
I've been working with Cornelius since 2019. So we did a warm-up show before Junior USA, and then we did Junior USA, and then my figure pro debut the next year, at the Savannah Pro in 2021. So we've done 3 shows together. So we're just going to keep it rolling because our duo's pretty remarkable. So
Oh, I didn't realize you did figure pro debut already, huh?
I did.
Oh.
Yeah, that didn't go as planned, but also looking back, I shouldn't have even prepped in 2021. I just
Mhm.
had so much going on in my life that I was extremely stressed. Um,
Mm.
just had so much going on that I shouldn't have even prepped. So therefore, came in not conditioned enough, flat, and came in about, I think it was 15 out of like 30 to 32, I think. So right in the middle.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
but you know, it's a lesson learned. So
Sure. Yeah, I understand. No, that's great though that you're I still like I said, I think it's great that you're doing physique and I think you're gonna do really shine there too. So yeah. And since you're opposing coach, I think that makes sense that you do physique.
yeah, yeah. So with posing coaching, I do all divisions, but I primarily stick to, figure, women's physique, and women's bodybuilding posing. So
Great. Oh, very cool. That's my next question, actually. I was wondering if you could speak about your own experience as a coach, and is there any clients that you'd like to highlight?
So I can't just highlight on one client in particular because all of my clients are truly outstanding.
Yeah.
Everybody's super passionate about their goals. I do coach online, lifestyle and bodybuilding clients, so
Hmm.
I do get the best of both worlds.
Great.
Um, and I truly love it. I've been doing it for the past 3 years. And it's getting better and better each year. So I'm really happy with how things are going, how my roster is increasing, and um, I've got quite a few girls competing this year. So I'm really excited about that.
Oh, yeah, I bet you're proud of them to see them
Yeah,
on stage. That's going to be exciting. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely.
I was curious, I haven't even asked this before, but in terms of have you had any lifestyle clients that have actually graduated up to bodybuilding? I was just curious.
Um, yes. So I've actually she's actually now one of my best friends. But she started out before she was with me. She had a journey of losing a whole bunch of weight in which she did that. And then when she first started with me, it was more so of like, okay, let's get, a good structure in your nutrition, and start getting training done, for more hypertrophy focused.
Mhm.
And then after about 6 months or so, then it was more so like, okay, let's focus in a little bit more and take this up a notch and go with, trying to compete in bodybuilding. So
Wow.
um, now she's pursuing her journey of getting to the stage this fall. So I'm really excited for her.
Oh, that's so exciting. Very cool. Yeah. Yeah, I bet you're excited for her.
Yeah, yeah. It's been a long time waiting for her. Because I've coached her for the past almost 2 years now. So it's taken that long to get her to a point of getting ready to compete. So it should be fun.
That's terrific. That's great. Um, Now, my next few questions are about competing, and uh, so I was curious, when and where do you hope to make your women's physique pro debut? Because I think you really light up the stage, and you just have amazing shape and really graceful posing. But yeah, when do you hope to compete next?
I'm hoping sometime July, August.
Okay.
Um, I'm not really sure. I'm letting my body kind of create the timeline rather than me creating a timeline for myself.
Okay.
Um, I want to do that just to have the longevity within the sport. I don't want to rush into anything and, go overboard and take XYZ just to get ready for a show that's going to reward me with a trophy and, a qualification. Whereas I'd rather take the time, let my body still be healthy throughout the entire time,
Mhm.
or for most of it anyways, and then get the qualification that way. So that's kind of the approach that we're going for this year. I'd like to do July, August around that time,
Sure.
but we'll see.
Yeah, I advocate for Tampa because I live in Tampa, so I'll be going to that show. So that's a
Okay.
good show too. You got to go.
Yeah, yeah, it's a solid show. It seems like so. I wouldn't mind doing that one. So we'll see. We'll see.
That's great. It's a big show too. I think one year I went, there was like 30 or 40 women's physique competitors. It was just crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, I would love to compete in a bigger class like that. I don't want to go to a smaller show where only like 5 girls show up because I want to see where I truly line up with these women. So,
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that would be good for you to know too, and just see where you stack up compared to the other pros. Yeah, that's true. Now, in terms of what feedback are you getting from judges in terms of where you need to improve your physique?
so the feedback I got at Junior USA was basically just gain size.
Mhm.
They said that I was very symmetrical. So I just needed to put on some more size everywhere evenly and I'd be good to go.
Mhm.
At the Savannah Pro in 2021, the feedback was I needed a lot more muscle maturity. And obviously I already knew, but I needed to be in better condition. So,
Mhm.
um, we take all of that with a little bit of a grain of salt because at the end of the day, we know what we need to do.
Mhm.
Um, so we've obviously put on a ton of size, so size will not be an issue for me, um, and conditioning will not be an issue for me this year. Since we are taking our time, my life is in a whole new point. I'm like very stress free. Everything's aligned, and so we're in a good spot. So
That's terrific. Yeah, that being stress free, that makes a huge difference, I think, and just being in the right, headspace. I think that's terrific. I was curious in terms of your physique, what's like your favorite muscle group and what's your least favorite?
my favorite is probably my hamstrings or yeah, probably my hamstrings. They're already starting to pop out and you can see all the little strings. So
Wow,
those are definitely going to be a crazy detail come
great.
stage time if they're already kind of looking a little crazy. So I'm really excited for that. My least favorite, probably my calves because they're smaller.
Mm.
My calves and my arms, they do need some work. So yeah, they get their own day now. So
Need more size, you think?
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Really? Yeah, that's great. Like I said, I think your abs are just really outstanding. And do you find your abs come in later or sooner with it?
Yeah, no, mine come in way later than everything else.
Yeah,
Um, but my waist does get really tiny, so
yeah,
that's another plus. So it's worth the wait.
that's a huge plus. Yeah, that's great. Very cool. I noticed I think you posted a video today, but your lats seem to be getting wider, but you have such a tiny waist. So really, that's a great look. I think just
Yeah.
really great V taper and stuff. Yeah. Um, I was curious in terms of what are your thoughts on the recent changes to the Olympia qualification system? Because I know I was kind of surprised that the organizers got rid of the point system, but I was curious what your take is on it.
I actually really like that they did that. It kind of ups the ante on the level of competitors that are going to be at the Olympia
Yeah.
rather than having too many competitors because I mean this past year was kind of crazy with how many people competed in each division. So
Hmm.
I do like that they changed it to that way, but also um, it kind of isn't a great thing for some divisions that barely have any shows to go to. So, like for
Yeah.
women's bodybuilding, I know for women's bodybuilding in 212, there's less than 10 shows to go to try
Hmm.
to qualify. So it kind of makes it kind of makes those divisions a little bit more prestigious at the Olympia, but it also kind of takes away from part of the show almost, because you're not having some key competitors on stage at that point.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I do. That's one thing. It really affected women's bodybuilding, women's physique the most, I think, because there are so few shows that represented. So personally, I kind of wish they'd bring points back and so that there would be a few more competitors on stage at the Olympia. But yeah.
Yeah, I feel like maybe they could bring back the point system for certain divisions. But like for the divisions that you kind of see like overkill with, like men's physique and bikini, who have like 50 competitors at least at each show. So yeah, I would have liked to see that if they were to change it again, but yeah.
I'm a little irritated too about the Arnold, which is going on right now. Got rid of all my favorite divisions on the women's side, and I was like, it just like
Yeah.
me.
I know. I got invited to go to the Arnold and a couple times, and I was just like, one, I don't want to pay to go. Two, there's no divisions in there that I'm like truly like passionate about. Like, yes, I love open bodybuilding,
Mhm.
and classic physique on the men's side,
Mhm.
but wellness and bikini don't really thrill me to the max, so I don't want to sit down and pay a couple $100s to watch it.
Yeah.
um so I'd rather just sit back at home, keep working, keep doing my thing for prep, and watch on Instagram who wins. So
Yeah, I feel the same way, and I don't know I don't feel like it should even be like a tier one contest if you're excluding all the divisions. So I'm like, yeah, sorry,
absolutely.
but yeah, it just kind of irritates me as a fan, and I know there's a lot of other fans that feel the same way.
Oh
So
yeah,
yeah,
it's definitely not what it used to be, that's for sure.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, and yeah. So anyway. I was curious. My last few questions are just kind of miscellaneous, and I was curious. Do you have a full-time outside job, or do you do coaching for your full-time work?
So full time, I do online coaching. On the side, I am the assistant fitness manager at a Gold's Gym, Lake Norman.
Oh,
It's like 5 minutes down the road from me. So I'll go in, I'll train clients, get my trainers clients, and help the members with whatever they need and stuff like that. So
great.
I do that just to get out of the house, because I don't like staying in and not socializing at all.
Yeah.
I'm very much a homebody, but I do need to get out, at least for a few hours, other than, just to train myself. So
Okay.
um,
Sure.
I do like, helping as many people as I can. So, this kind of lets me get hands on in person with clients, and reaching them that way, as to opposed to just my online people. So.
That's great. Yeah, that's good that you can meet your clients in person like that. Yeah. Or some of them. I was curious, do you find it kind of hard to juggle your work life and your personal life and your fitness career? Because that's seems like it might be tough to juggle.
Not for me. I know a lot of people might have trouble juggling those things, but for me, with how I have everything set up now, with my online coaching, I can kind of make my own schedule with that. And then with my other job at Gold's Gym, I can make my own schedule with that. So I
Nice.
can base my work around my bodybuilding stuff that I need to do. So I don't really have a tough time juggling it. I'm very schedule oriented. So I have a schedule for every day. It's written out every 30 minutes of what I'm doing.
Hmm.
And so everything gets done by the end of the day. And that's just how I operate. So
Great.
I don't really have a hard time at all.
That's great. That's terrific. Yeah. One thing I was curious about, what are your parents think about your bodybuilding career? Are they supportive?
Oh yeah, 100%. I am truly thankful and blessed to have the parents and the family that I do.
Yeah.
Um, and now when I first started, they were kind of like skeptical about it. They're, just saw it for, the picture that it was, a girl in a bikini and heels on stage, rather than once they learned a little bit more and they went to my first show, then they actually realized, okay, this is actually an art form. And so
Yeah.
ever since then, they've been 100% on board. I was talking to my mom yesterday about potential shows for this year, and she's sitting there, contacting her boss for, taking days off and everything. So, you
Great.
know, my family is very supportive. They try to go to everything. My whole family went to the Savannah Pro, so they're all trying to go to whatever show I do next. So they've kind of been that way my whole life. So I'm very lucky.
That's great. That's terrific. Yeah. I remember one time I went to a show in Tampa, and I think it was the amateur women were up on stage in the bikini, and that I was sitting next to a mom and stepdad, and the stepdad kept averting his eyes when the daughter would turn her back and show her glutes and stuff. So I just thought
Yeah.
it was
I I have a feeling my dad was probably the same way when he first went, but also they knew what to expect. So
yeah.
you know, but now they're looking, when I show them my physique, they look at it for what it is, the physique, rather than, so
I thought that was kind of cute. Yeah. I
yeah.
imagine there's other dads that feel the same way.
Yeah, yeah. Now, and my dad took me to a photo shoot after I won my pro card. I had a photo shoot with Dan Ray,
Oh,
and my dad just sat in the car, and then I told him, I was like, okay, Dan wants to get a picture with you flexing with me, and
oh,
he was
cool.
like, no, no, no. But he did it. He did it, but you could tell he did not like it at all.
Oh, really? That's so cool, though.
Yeah, but it was cool. It was cool. It turned out cute. So
I bet that was a good experience. Really cool. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, so I was curious if you were in a leadership position with NPC or IFBB, what would you do to improve the sport of bodybuilding, and how would you make the sport better?
Um, Probably try and cut down the amount of shows that there are, because there are a ton of shows,
Hmm.
which makes them all less prestigious in their own way.
Hmm.
So it makes the shows a lot smaller than what they used to be when you have so many every weekend. Um,
Hmm.
so
Yeah.
I would try and taper that down. Um,
Hmm.
with the prize money, I feel like something with that needs to change as far as like at the pro level for women versus men.
Yeah.
Um, because I mean, women do spend a lot of money too, but I do understand the fact that, the men's divisions and certain divisions in the women's bring in more money than the others. But at the end of the day, it is still one event. So I feel like it should be distributed a little bit differently than what it is now. But
Sure. Yeah. Unfortunately, I think that's true of all men's and women's sports. I think women's sports are kind of devalued, and yeah, the prize money is not very good for
yeah,
promoting shows, unfortunately.
yeah.
Um,
And
even
unfortunately, there's a smaller percentage of people that want to see a woman muscular and dice compared to wanting to see, a freak show of a man, you know, 300 pounds shredded on stage. They'd rather see that, and they'd be like, oh, yes, let's go see the freak show, rather than, something that they would look at. And most of them will probably say, oh, that's too much. I don't want to see that. So it's like, so for a woman, you say that way, but for a man, you say something different. So it's just
Mhm.
kind of people's opinions and how the world works, I guess. So
Yeah, yeah, I think that's true. That double standard exists in all of men's and women's
oh
sports,
yeah,
I would say,
absolutely.
unfortunately. Yeah, huh. That's good point. I was curious, do you like to show off your muscles in public, or do you prefer to keep them covered when you're out, like at the grocery store and stuff?
It just kind of depends on the day that I'm having. I don't really, pick an outfit to show off something. I just kind of wear what I want to wear. So if
Sure,
it shows off something and brings more attention, then that's what it does. But at the end of the day, I'm just gonna wear what I want to wear.
sure. Do you, when you're out showing muscles, do you get stopped a lot by people? Like, or,
No, not anymore. I used to, and
Mhm.
they would be confident in talking to me, but now I think people are more so intimidated to come talk to me, um,
Mhm.
because of the size, maybe. But
Yeah,
I'll get a lot of stares, that's for sure.
yeah, yeah. That doesn't bug you? Because I don't know, the butt stairs might bug me, I think.
Um, Sometimes, but I've gotten used to it. So now, like when I'm with my family, they'll notice and they'll say something like, "Oh, well, that person was just like staring at you hardcore," and I was like, "Really?" Because I
Real
don't even notice anymore. So I like the only time I notice is if I actually like look around and like make eye contact with somebody, make them feel uncomfortable back. But
okay.
most of the time I just ignore it.
That's cool. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, I think that's probably a good policy.
Yeah.
So I was curious, do you find it hard to juggle like social media demands? Because I think, I think it's kind of can be overwhelming for some of the muscle ladies to deal with, the fans and stuff. But I was thinking too, you're so young, it could be second nature to you. I know it is with my daughter, and she's taught me how to use Instagram and stuff like that. So I was just curious.
Yeah, so there are some times where it's just social media gets to be just too much.
Mhm.
Because you have to post constantly every day, multiple times a day sometimes, and it does get a lot. It makes it a job of its own. Um,
That's
but
true.
I try to keep a constant uh bank of drafts of posts. So then on those days that I don't feel like making or creating anything, I just post that.
Mhm.
Um and then that way I can stay on top of it.
Mhm.
But I mean it's not hard, it's just time consuming.
What about, do you get a lot of DMs too?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I can't keep my DMs clean, unfortunately.
Yeah, I bet. I bet. And I'm thinking you're gonna see it ramp up too as you get closer to the stage. Yeah, it's gonna
Oh
be.
yeah.
It just seems like that could be kind of overwhelming.
Yeah, it's like the leaner I get, the more DMs I get. So
And what about trolls? Do you have to deal with many trolls and stuff? Because I'd hate the trolls just being mean and nasty just because they
yeah,
can.
yeah, those can kind of get annoying because then it's like sometimes they'll just catch you off guard and you'll be like, "What? That makes no sense." And then it'll kind of get you ramped up, but then you got to bring it back down and be like, "Wait a minute, okay, this person just has nothing else better to do, so let them go off." Sometimes if I'm bored, then I'll entertain it and just kind of like push their buttons a little bit.
Yeah,
But most of the time, I just kind of hit the block button and keep it rolling.
good idea. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think that's cool though to kind of push back a little bit too sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, create some entertainment for myself. And I'm
Yeah.
sure others that are sitting there watching my comment section. So,
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's
yeah.
true.
Because I do have a good bit of followers that, like, if a troll does come onto my page and post something, some of my followers will attack themselves and not let me say anything. So,
Oh yeah.
I just kind of like sit back and watch it sometimes too.
That can be kind of entertaining too, and
Oh,
it's good
yeah.
to
Yeah.
have your tribe and your defenders to help you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, thankful for those people for sure.
No, it is. It's good to have those folks on your side for sure. So I was curious, just one more question. Is there anything that I didn't ask that you'd like to address here?
um, I can't think of anything. I think you've covered everything really well.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank
Um,
you for having me.
you're welcome. Yeah, and I did want to give a quick shout out to George Page because he had a really good interview with you just recently, and I caught most of it. But I thought that was really good. And then I will include your Instagram and your coach's Instagram down in the comments section so people can check them out by clicking down below. So keep an eye out for that. But thank you so much. Really appreciate your time, Bree, and I really wish you the best. And folks are definitely going to have to follow you as you lead up to your Physique Pro debut. So that's exciting for July or August, like you said.
Yep. Yep, absolutely. I'm excited. We're excited. Everything's going great. So just waiting for my time. But I appreciate you having me on today.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Take care.